Coming to you from Final Third Cigar and Whiskey Lounge in Ingalls, Indiana, Indiana's exclusive Aladino Cigar Lounge. It's the Final Third Podcast.
Welcome back to the Final Third Podcast. I'm Rob.
And I'm Isaiah, and we have a returning guest with us, Isaiah Long.
It must be wedding week.
It must be.
Yeah, so when this thing's broadcasting, Isaiah will be a married man. Maybe. Depends on if she backs out or if he stands up and says, I
have been
object.
telling her, you can say, I don't, all the way up until you say I do. So, I mean, she has an out. She can do it.
Fair enough.
The problem is she sold her house and dumped a ton of the money into mine. So, like, she'd kind of be screwed if she backed out at this point.
You know, it really doesn't matter because your mom and dad already adopted her, so maybe they'll boot you.
No.
So.
Yeah, I would probably be booted. That would be tragic if I was stood up on the altar. And honestly, I think that my parents would get rid of me at this rate. I know my mom especially just absolutely loves Victoria, so it would be a pain. Rob, what are you doing, man?
Oh, the earpiece fell off.
Oh my gosh, this dude.
Oh, no, you won't either.
So, full disclosure, we got Rob up early this morning. We're recording at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. That dude hasn't seen 10 a.m. in 5 years.
I've been getting up early for several weeks now. Thank you very much.
I've been getting up early for several weeks now.
I have. Heck, Will and I got up at like 6 a.m. the other morning when we came back from Lexington.
Oh, yeah?
It's not a conspiracy. It's true.
Yeah. Whatever. Well, today on the docket, we've got a couple things. We're going to start with...
Didn't I tell you to clean your room?
That's Dusty.
A good old-fashioned Dusty pour. And then we'll get into the Crown Heads Fumato in C Major, which was a limited release from last year. We're going to be drinking that with coffee. And then if Rob decides that for whatever reason we need to smoke them, there is a stem-only cigar on the
We
table.
are going to light them up.
Yeah, we will.
I promised Dave Payne, shout out to Dave Payne,
Shout out to Dave.
that we would actually smoke these and tell him what we thought. The reason why these were actually created, at least I believe the reason why they were created, was because everyone would come out and say, you know, oh, stems are terrible in cigars. They won't burn. They won't do anything. So these cigars are made out of only stems, just to prove basically that you can do it. Now,
Just
I'm
to
sure they're
prove
gonna
that
be
if you
bitter
hate
as
your
hell.
life, you can do it.
Oh, I'm sure they're going to be bitter and nasty. But hey, we're going to give it a shot.
We're going to start our morning off on some 1973 J.W. Dant. This is 86 proof.
Nice.
And this is pre-Heaven Hill. This was still when they were at the Lawrenceburg. I think it's a 10-year product. As far as my quick Google searching said, it's a 10-year product. What are you getting on the nose, Isaiah? It definitely smells dusty.
Yeah.
But it also has a lot of fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of like sweet oak and fruit.
Yeah, it's not over. I mean, well, if it's only 10 years, though, it's not over oaked by any means at all. Got a little floral,
Yeah.
little like honeysuckle.
Yeah.
It definitely got that fruit.
Yeah,
It's almost like an apple, but not an
I was
apple.
gonna say
you know?
a little bit kind of red fruity.
Yeah. Smells good.
Wow.
Oh.
That drink's far above its proof.
Oh, very far.
Did you say that was in the 80s?
86.
That's what the guy told me, was that it was 86.
Gosh,
Yeah.
it's playing like 20 points higher than that.
Yeah.
It could be first sip of the day, too. But
True.
Yeah, but you could tell
Wow.
me this was in the high 90s, and I
Yeah.
don't think
Yeah.
I'd question it.
Yeah, actually, it's just that initial sip that tasted hot. Now it's starting to get more
Yeah.
smooth and fruity.
Yeah, I mean, it is 10 a.m. It does the dusty.
What's the rule, Isaiah? If you don't start drinking in the morning, you can't drink all day. Exactly.
Yeah. It does a little bit of that dusty character, the mothball thing, but it has so much of those red fruits that are kind of signature of like Kentucky distilling.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Now going back in on the nose, 100%. 100% ripe green apple.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm tracking with you on that.
That's a good pour, man. You've found some pretty good dusty pours lately.
I honestly am starting to grow a theory that whiskey was just made better back then.
Well, and I think some of it, like we've talked before, I think some of it could be the fact that the water was way different than it is now. Just pollutants alone, even though you're filtering it, they probably weren't filtering it the same way back then. So there was just good, clean water where now they have to filter it to make it clean.
Yeah.
Well,
And another portion of that is just the fact that whiskey was not popular when these came out.
Yeah.
So if you were going to come out with something,
Better be good.
it better be good.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder
most
too.
of these come out in like decanters and stuff like that, just to make somebody at least a little bit more inclined to buy it, I'd guess.
Right. Well, I wonder too how yeast strains change over the years too, and how that could be a big difference too. Because I would imagine that JW Dant now and JW Dant then is probably using the same mash bill and probably as close as they can to the original yeast strain too.
Yeah, I'm not sure because they are currently owned by Heaven Hill, and there was a whole lawsuit and everything over the Green River guy, Wally Dant, trying to use his last name. Because the Dant family signed over everything to Heaven Hill. And they did it at a time where whiskey wasn't popular, so I'm sure they weren't compensated adequately for it as far as today's standard goes. But
and from what it sounded like at the end of that article too, it sounded like both sides were happy. Yeah, and I would imagine Heaven Hill probably in the finality of it just said, we want to honor your name, and by the way, we're going to sell a shit ton more product than you'll ever even think about selling.
Yeah, I mean, and now Green River is owned by Bardstown Bourbon Company, and they're kind of cutting their teeth sourcing what I'd consider more craft Kentucky whiskey.
Yeah,
they're Bardstown Bourbon Company's implemented that model onto them, and there's a ton of people getting like 4 and 5 year Green River distillate.
Yeah.
It's
that was
solid.
what Bourbon 30 had, that one barrel of Green River down there that was really pretty good.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. What are you getting on the cold draw on this thing?
Cold draw on this is like sweet hay. It's almost like frosted mini wheats or something like that.
I'm getting, this note's been in my head so much lately, but I'm getting the cookie port part of the Fig Newton, which is basically what you just said.
I was thinking just that.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's pretty much, I mean, if you put those two combinations together, it's the same thing. Let's light them up and get them going here. I left my lighter and my cutter out in the car, so that's why I went scrambling over there to get one.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah, especially owning a cigar lounge.
And showing up to a cigar podcast at your own lounge.
I've been up for hours, so.
How many hours?
Hours. All of them.
All of them?
All of the hours. I don't know, an hour and a half.
That's what I figured.
No, wait, what time is it? Hell, I don't even know. It's like 10:30?
Past 10. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been up for a couple hours then.
Yeah, there you go. Of course, you live like 5 minutes away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man.
I love this cigar. Like, this is
It almost reminds me of a little bit of a sweet tip on that first puff.
Yeah.
That was nice. I don't remember that before.
This has been one of my staple morning cigars. if I am having a smoking morning, which if you've never smoked a cigar in the morning, here's my regimen for you. Get a sparkling water, get your black coffee or coffee with cream.
Or coffee with whiskey, whatever it takes.
Coffee with whiskey, yeah. Start with this Fumato in C major. As you drink down your coffee, you'll finish that. And then you switch over to a Pais Anastasia and get you some more coffee. And you're going to have the best day of your life, and I can promise you that.
It is good. And if we didn't really talk much about it, so this is made by Crowned Heads. It's this Fumato in C major. It was last year. It was one of last year's special releases, limited editions.
Yeah. It was a PCA only.
Yeah, we still have 2 or 3 boxes left, and which I was shocked that they've lasted this long, which is why we're bringing it back on here again because it really is that good. But it's got a Connecticut shade wrapper on it, but it's definitely not a mild cigar. It's in that medium range, but in a ton of flavor too. So
I just went from the smoke to the sip, and the whiskey just did I would call it strawberries and honey.
Ooh,
for me, it really.
That almost smells like honeycomb cereal a little bit.
Oh yeah, I could see that. But just retrohaling and the perception of a cigar in the room will completely change.
Yeah, I mean on the palate, you're right, man. It's all that sweet fruit. I mean, I definitely see what you're saying with the strawberries.
Yeah. Big jammy vibe to it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's for sure.
That's what we've noticed, though. It seems like in all these dusty pours we've been having is
super fruity.
With a cigar. I mean, they actually pair way better with cigars than some of the new stuff we've been trying.
Yeah, I mean,
it's kind of crazy.
That would make me interested to try, okay, so Will has an Old Crow Chessman, which is one of the... it's that is one of the most sought after dusty whiskeys that I have found. They typically go for around $1,000 a piece on the secondary market. But we've noticed with it, after opening it and decanting it, it started to oxidize, and it's not nearly as pleasant as it was the day after it opened. So I wonder, smoking a cigar with it would probably knock a lot of that.
It could.
Yeah.
Knock a lot of that off on the flavor palette. And I mean, granted, it is still a wonderful whiskey. This is just the first time that it has seen air in probably 50 or 60 years.
Yeah.
So it's reacting differently. But man, I love this Fumato in C major. I just do.
I do too. I'm gonna try it with this coffee. So
yeah,
we're drinking the new coffee here, the Brick House Black and Tan, which I love this coffee.
So the Black and Tan is, well, that's the way it looks like when you open the bag. It is some darker roasted beans along with some really lighter roasted beans. So you still get that fruitiness, you get that little bit of roasty, that bitterness, but it's not overpowering in either way. And it is a really good middle ground. Yeah.
And it's going great with that cigar too.
Yeah, I believe it.
Just made the cigar more sweet on
Isaiah,
that one.
you got any notes on the coffee? You used to be a professional barista.
Here, let me get the true cupping slurp for you.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
They legitimately do that in roasteries. It's it aerates it across your palate.
Yeah, it annoys the hell out of everyone around you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it does bring out a little bit of a almost graham crackery note.
Oh,
for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that with the cigar or just the coffee? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, definitely with the cigar. I think it's that little touch of spiciness coming out of the cigar paired with that coffee kind of gives it a little bit of that.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah.
This is one of those coffees, though, too. Is even if you don't drink coffee black, try this one black. There's so much flavor. It's not just dark coffee notes. There's nuttiness in here. There's that graham crackery thing going, but you're still getting the nice roasty coffee in there too. It has a lot of complexity to it.
Yeah, and some people will be like, Why would you want to mix it with light roast coffee?
Light roast coffee is what gives you your caffeine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most people don't understand that.
No, I mean, in a lot of instances, especially the pre-ground, like store brands and whatever, like your Maxwell House, your Folgers, a lot of the Starbucks stuff, they have actually charred that coffee.
Over roasted it. Big
Well,
time.
I mean, at some point it is carcinogenic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
You're
know?
just burning that caffeine off.
Well, you're burning the caffeine off, one, and you're burning the oils to the outside of the bean. So if your beans are shiny, they took it too far.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
Yep.
But
Coffee talk.
Coffee
With the Isaiahs.
Indeed.
well, you can't leave your day. You can't start your day without a cup of coffee. So you might as well enjoy it.
Might as well.
Make it a ritual instead
Yeah.
of a necessity.
Yeah.
It's all about mindfulness
Yeah.
or just caffeine.
So any more news from that, beautiful view from the north yet?
I have not gotten any more news from them.
No news from that view.
No.
Looking
no
outside your
news.
house going
Yeah,
north. Yeah.
from the view up
Nice.
north. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. No news there.
No news there.
Yeah. Bachelor party is in a couple days. And if you're watching this, it's already happened.
Yep.
So.
And he might be in jail right now. We don't know.
We don't know.
And by he, I'm meaning he might be in
Just
jail.
the collective heat.
Just the
collective heat.
Yeah.
Nah,
Seems
it'll
like
be pretty
it's-
chill.
It's going to be a good time. It sounds like there's going to be a podcast recorded that night.
Yeah, we'll put the cameras on and everything. We'll just see what happens. It'll
Yeah.
be fun.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
We'll just have to interview people while drinking.
We'll just have like a list of 10 questions, and every half an hour we ask Isaiah another question, see how hammered he gets during the question.
That would be pretty good.
That would
That
be
would be
good.
pretty good. Yeah. So, any news on Elijah Craig?
Yes. So, not that, well, by the time this airs, we should have it.
Okay.
Should. Again, we don't know because it's actually, as of right now, it should be already in Southern Glazer's hands, according to Heaven Hill. So if that's the case, we could get it today. We also might be getting, well, when we're recording today, we also could be getting the Spirits of French Lick today too. Both of them are at the distributor now.
Cool.
So it's just a matter of when they get their deliveries made. So hopefully in the next couple of days, and by the time this airs, it'll all be here. But as bad as this is gone, I'm not gonna hold out any hope yet.
I mean, that is the hard part with it. Like, I would really like for Isaiah to try those French lick picks. 'Cause
Yeah.
He was at my house the night that I came home from the picks, and I just like raved about it. And then I don't know. I have raved about those picks so much just because Alan knows what he's doing.
He does.
He
Well, and
really
if we have them by the time the bachelor party is, I'll have one out, one of each out.
yeah.
But I will say, we don't need to be staying long in those bottles because those bottles, I mean, that's where everyone's going to get hammered pretty quickly. Because it does not taste like it's hot, but it's still 147 proof.
Oh yeah.
Man, going back to this whiskey after taking some more puffs and letting it sit a little bit, I'm curious if y'all are getting this. It's almost gotten brighter and shinier. Like that fruitiness for me almost is like reaching a like
Citrusy. Yep.
Yeah, citrus, like a lemon bar almost.
Yep. That's exactly where I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I already finished mine, so I can't weigh in.
That'd be a sniff.
Especially on the
Oh, yeah.
palate. It's almost like
Yeah.
it's almost like a lemon peel at this
Yeah.
point. The bitterness of the citrus.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. And I wonder if that's, did you have a sip of coffee too?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's playing with it a little bit too.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, the coffee is getting brighter to me too right now, bringing out some of those fruity qualities. It is really solid.
Really?
Really,
Really.
really. So I thought since it's a celebratory week for me, we should talk about celebration pours. So I guess what would be for Rob, let's say anything is available at your disposal. You get 3 pours for the evening, and it's anything past, present. You're not paying for it. It's just available, and you get 3 pours. You're celebrating the birth of your next Miss Vasectomy kid.
We've been talking about being careful with that. So,
Which
I don't know. You start because I got to think
if
about
you guys
it.
don't know, it's a joke because Rob's last daughter, for
Yes.
somehow on Rob, who is a diabetic, his vasectomy healed itself.
Yes.
And
then we had another child. So,
well, and honestly,
and now we're 54, hoping like hell we never have another child.
yeah. I mean, they wouldn't do it any differently. It's just a shocking thing that
Very
on
shocking.
that on a diabetic who it takes a month and a half for his tattoos to heal, like a vasectomy can heal itself after
Exactly.
it's been cauterized and all that deal.
Built different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His strong swimmers, that one.
Strong swimmers. Swimmers.
Yeah.
Now you go ahead if you got
Yeah.
something right now because I have to think about that.
So for mine, I would say I'm gonna say a Scotch, a bourbon, and a rye.
Okay.
For the bourbon, for me, it's Stag Junior. That's my special pour. It just kind of hits all the right notes that I want.
Like you do that
I was
over a
thinking that
George
too.
T.
You know, I've only tried George T once, but from that experience, I think so.
Yeah.
Stag Junior just kind of offers.
Oh, what batch?
I mean, probably my favorite out of what I had was 12.
Yeah.
You know, like as everyone says, but
Yeah.
haven't had too many of the batches. But 12 was really good. But honestly, any batch of Stag Junior has hit me right. So, yeah, that would be my bourbon. For my rye, it's Michter's 10.
Yeah.
That one we were drinking last night. It hits all the comforting apple pie notes that you want and just kind of takes it to
It's
that
got a
next
really
level.
nice oak presence too.
Yeah. A lot of that sweetness and a lot of that oak. And for the Scotch, I would say Tobermory 10. That's my celebration pour because
Okay.
that bottle both is one of my favorite Scotches, but also holds a special memory for me. I've been to the Tobermory distillery in Scotland, and that whole trip was a really special experience. So, anytime I get to have a chance to celebrate with that pour, it's a good day.
Yeah. That's cool. You want to go? You want me to go? I can start if you want me to.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, and coming back to kind of what you just said with this Scotch thing, what got me into whiskey was a couple of nice pours of Scotch.
Mm-hmm.
It was Macallan 25 year, Oban 18.
Yeah.
But on that same bar, they happened to have a bottle of Macallan M, and the guy gave me a little taste of it. And I would like that would be a celebratory pour just to say I had it.
Yeah.
A full pour.
For
Try it
sure.
again.
It was very good. Honestly,
But that was
I-
like your first night drinking whiskey, wasn't it?
well, not drinking whiskey, but first time appreciating whiskey.
Yeah.
But I would say it probably wasn't that much different than the 25, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I would love to have a pour of that again. I'm with you. I love Stag.
Yeah.
I like George T. I like Stag Junior. I like all the Stags. And then probably, I don't know, man, because I'm a huge fan of all the Heaven Hill stuff. And I mean, even the Heaven Hill Bottle and Bond green bottles
Yeah.
were really delicious. So I don't know. I'd have to probably go back and look at some of the older Heaven Hill stuff to see if there's something in there I'd like to try. But probably something old dusty Heaven Hill or something.
Yeah. So I think for me, this would always be a rotating list.
Yeah.
But one of them would definitely be like I would want another pour of that Old Crow bottled and bond from like 1942 that we had when we were out on the patio.
Mercy.
Like
Yeah.
something about that bottle just hit me the absolute right way.
That and that Beam decanter you had, that old
Yeah.
dusty Beam was delicious too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and then the turkey was fantastic too. Like
I think we've said it before. I think it's just the idea of something you'll never be able to have again.
It is.
And also tasting something so old that it was before all the, pollutants and everything else we got going on now.
Yeah. So I would one of my first ones would be that Old Crow bottled in bond. I also think that a 2020 Thomas H. Handy would be on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have tried it once, but just remember it being one of those whiskey experiences where you take a sip and you just sit with it.
Yeah.
There's
That
so much
aha moment.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much complexity there that like the finish just goes on forever. Also, I'm a rye guy, so it hits my palate super well. That would be one. And then I don't know what my last one would really be. It might just be the Parker's Double Barrel Blend, which we are going to crack at my bachelor party.
Nice.
But when Will brought that in that one day, I was like, oh my gosh. Like High Age Heaven Hill stuff I really do love.
Yeah.
But that one in particular, it's high proof, it's high age, it just ticks all my boxes. And it's got enough spice in there. Some of the higher aged Heaven Hill stuff leans more into those brown sugar notes, into those nuttiness. The thing that I think draws me to that Parker's Double Barrel Blend is that they're still spicy and it's not just like oak tannic spicy.
Yeah.
And there's something about it that I just absolutely love. But
Nice.
I guess I'm a decently cheap date. But
Well, and I mean, like you had mentioned before too, the turkey dusties and stuff too. I mean, it's special, man. It is so special, and I think it'd be fun just to do a flight of like all the big six distilleries, something from their dusty lineup, and doing a lineup of all those. So I think we'd probably just be in awe of all of them. I mean,
Yeah.
I was shocked at how much I love that Jim Beam dusty we tried, and it was just regular Jim Beam, but old.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was delicious.
Yeah. I'll have to bring. I got a couple Beam decanters, and I'll have to bring them on the show
For science.
for science.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Maybe you can start the night on some Beam decanters during for my bachelor party,
As you do.
as you do.
You could.
I don't care.
Nah, don't waste all your stuff. I'm sure there'll be some stuff coming that night.
Oh, there'll be stuff coming. I know that, but hey,
Yeah.
we're drinking nice.
That we are.
We're gonna have a good time.
I'm bringing you a handle of Fireball and JTS Brown, baby.
Hey, yeah. I'm still waiting to see any of the Fireball Dragons Reserve, which was the barrel aged one. So if any of you guys out there have a lead or have seen one, please let us know.
And I think it's like $20 for the bottle, right?
I got 50 for you. I will pay 50
See, and
for
I mean,
that bottle.
the allocated market on that bottle's got to be at least $22 by now. At least.
Like I have, yeah, I would pay you $50 for that bottle just to try it on the show,
Somebody
torture
please
Rob with
find
it,
that.
but also get Dr. Johnson on again because he is
love
the resident Fireball expert of Final Third. He's a big Fireball guy.
He says all the
He
time, he's
loves
like, he's like, I can't believe that joke took on so much on the legs of this thing now, because he was just joking about it on a post, and now he's the Fireball man.
Yeah, so he posted on the Indiana Bourbon Club, and he had a pour, and I don't even think it was Fireball
It
in his
was.
glass, but it was a Glencairn next to a Fireball bottle that looked like whatever was in his glass could have very well been Fireball. And I think it was just like one of those, what's in your glass tonight?
It was, because there was like 20 other posts that day.
Yeah.
Everyone showing, what's in my glass? He's like, what's in my glass? There's a bottle of Fireball next to it.
It was probably some nice scotch just
Yeah.
sitting
Oh, I'm
next
sure.
to a Fireball bottle, but now he's become the resident Fireball guy.
Mm-hmm.
Everything from his Fireball Tatiscans to
Which we both admitted it worked.
they were good.
It
They were good.
worked.
We haven't done anything with those Tatiscans, have we?
Nah, they're still back there.
Yeah.
Not with the packs anymore, but they're still back there. Who knows? They might have blown up by now.
Could have. Could have.
This cigar, I'll tell you, man, that the nuttiness is starting to come out of the cigar with the whiskey or the coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have a ton of spice on the retrohale. Just enough to kind of keep you interested, but not really black pepper spice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it is. This is genuinely one of my favorite Connecticut's all the way around.
This and the pie for you.
Yeah. I already mentioned the pie.
I know.
But sadly, this Fumato and C Major was just a PCA only release that they had extras of, so the shop got. And I'm not sure that there's plans to re-release it.
I don't think so.
No,
Not
I wouldn't
from the
imagine.
factory it came out of.
Yeah, because if you didn't, if you're not looking at the stream or the video, it's a Pichardo factory thing. And
Unfortunately.
Pichardo and Ace Prime and all of the crew that's associated with them did Crown Heads dirty, and they are taking everything out of Pichardo except
Bill Diaz.
Bill Diaz.
Which they shouldn't mess with that.
I wouldn't. I mean, it's like their best-selling cigar.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's the funny thing too, is like that's the same way I feel like about AJ. AJ, when he makes cigars for other people, they're always way better than his own stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is the same way with them. The Pichardo factory, this cigar, and the was the pie made there too? I don't remember. Maybe not.
I don't remember.
But the Mil Diaz, some of the cigars he made for Crowned Heads was the best thing he ever made. Then you get into the other lines, and they just didn't hold up to what they made
all
for
the
Crowned
Luciano
Heads.
stuff, all that deal.
Yeah,
It's and they have more construction issues than any of
they
these.
do. Yeah.
Rob,
Yeah, I still haven't had one of these that has not smoked well. Mil Diaz very seldom will ever smoke differently,
in the draw on these is like wide open. Like-
which is the way I like mine.
Yeah.
I know some people like a little more resistance. I like them where I can smoke it the way I want to and not have to worry about it.
Yeah. It's super, super easy. So Isaiah, what's the Nashville news? If there was something you could tell people about the Nashville bourbon scene today,
Oh.
you know,
Good luck.
good luck. Yeah.
Or the cigar scene, because I mean, obviously you got Crowned Heads in your backyard. I mean, whatever's
So,
going on down there.
I did see that Smokers Abbey picked up Fuerte Libre,
I'm going to as well. I just
Yeah.
haven't done it yet.
and it looked like they changed their packaging,
They did.
which
It's not a bad thing.
it's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
The bands, the boxes, everything was terribly designed. Whoever did it, I am so glad that they realized that they were wrong in doing it. And because the cigars were great.
Yeah, yeah.
They were great, but that was one of those cigars that, well, when I was working here, you would have to walk in the humidor to convince somebody to buy it.
Yeah, they just were. I don't want to say cheap, but the bands themselves just didn't stand out. It's like when you walk in, you see a Padron, crappy little band, but everyone knows it's iconic.
Yeah.
You know, all the Fuente stuff, they all look the same, but everyone it draws your eye to it. This one here was just like you'd look over it pretty easily.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad to see that too. And that yellow band was hard to even read, so that one made it hard.
Well, and it was also,
and that was one of my
bad
favorite
yellow.
cigars too.
Yeah.
So of theirs.
Yeah.
Our wonderful new table is brought to you by Deadwood Live. That's DED Wood Live. Go check them out on Facebook and see what Derek can do for you. From bars to tabletops to a giant podcast table, they specialize in making super high quality furniture from live edge woods and reused barrels. So reach out to them on Facebook and see what they can do for you.
But we're gonna get them in here now because I'm getting close to weeding out a few things, and once I have a little bit more time, I'm gonna adjust it and add another shelf in there, so we'll have a lot more room. But that's one of them I want to bring in here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Glad to see them growing.
I'll make the question a little bit more specific.
Okay.
Are there any brands that you're seeing right now in the Nashville market? Because you guys do tend to get like newer brands on the scene, typically prioritize Tennessee and Kentucky. Are there brands that you're just seeing that are kind of popping off right now? Like I would say like a Blue Note, like one of those situations.
Honestly, surprisingly enough, Jack Daniels, I would almost say, kind of falls in that for me. Like, you know, Jack Daniels is obviously the Tennessee classic, but it feels like over the last several years and a lot of the stuff that they've been doing with their special releases and all that stuff, like they've really kind of turned the tide, I think, for the real bourbon nerds.
Yeah.
Like I think it traditionally, or at least, you know, when I started getting into bourbon, my perception of what the kind of common thought of Jack Daniels was, oh, it's, you know, it's the thing you drink in college. It's the beginner whiskey, like a.
We never drank Jack in college.
Yeah, I did once. It was the last day of my freshman year.
Okay.
But yeah, I think recently with a lot of the stuff that they've been doing, it seems like they're definitely not only kind of gaining a lot of favor in the Nashville market, but like it seems like they're putting forth like some special releases that like maybe they're not exclusive to Nashville, but they're hitting Nashville harder than they're hitting other places, if at all.
So they're taking care of Tennessee.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is,
So,
it's nice to see.
Yeah.
Well,
We talked about that on the last show. It seems like Jack is just everything Jack hits right now is just a home run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely seem to be tapped into what people want, especially like with the things they've been doing with like their ryes.
Yeah.
Like putting out the single barrels and the barrel proof. Like that seems to really be playing to like what the like aficionados want.
See, I can't think if I don't think I've had the Jack Rye yet. I don't believe I have.
You had the barrel proof rye.
Did I have that? Okay.
Yeah, that was on the show with Eric.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, that was
right.
That was the last pour.
That's right. And it was delicious. I do remember that now. Yeah. But they also just released a regular release rye too, not the barrel proof, right? Didn't they just
No. So that's
that's
the regular release. Their like limited rye is a double barrel rye.
Okay.
And
again, like you said, hitting the whiskey nerd, bourbon nerds.
And it's part of their heritage collection, I think they call it. And yeah. Well, I mean, the interesting thing to that is this is a brand that actually saw what the market wanted and was just like, hey, let's give you some more. Nobody really cared about the Jack Daniel's Heritage Collection until 2020 when the first single barrel proof rye came out as a Heritage Collection release. And then everybody was nuts.
So is Coy Hill part of the Heritage?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it went.
That was the one
single
people
barrel
seem to
rye,
search out.
Yeah. And then I think it was Coy Hill. I think Coy Hill was 21.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if it was Coy Hill or there was the one malt whiskey.
I thought the malt was last year.
Yeah, I
it
think
let
so.
everybody down. And then this year is a twice barrel proof rye.
Yeah,
and they are back in the favor.
Yep.
The interesting thing is on that malt whiskey that they did, or their single malt, was that that's one of the main components of the triple mash, and I think it would have gone better with people that regularly drink scotch than with people that drink bourbon, because you go from something like Coy Hill, which is knock you over, like it just does the Jack Daniels thing. I remember there being a lot of like almond qualities in that.
Yeah.
And then you go to something that's a single malt finished in sherry, like it's a different market. It really is.
Yeah, and that was one of the things we said last year was, Jack coming out with the triple mash and even the bonded, it wasn't as good as a single barrel, but it wasn't playing in that world. It's a $40 bottle.
Oh, that's what you meant. They did just come out with a bonded rye.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I've been wanting to pick that one up too.
That's the one I haven't seen yet.
Have you seen that in your market, Isaiah?
I think it's starting to pop up. But I haven't seen it like super prevalent yet.
Yeah. Because you guys get stuff long before we do. We still don't regularly have the Jack Daniel's single barrel proof rye here.
Yeah, we're just starting to get to where that's becoming like it's staying on shelves when it's sitting there.
How prevalent is the Jack 10 and 12 down there?
Oh,
Is it
I've
starting
never
yet?
seen one on a shelf personally.
Gotcha, okay.
So I know that's one that
That's
people
ones I like to get. Yeah.
yeah, people go after those pretty hard. But I mean, for
Jack
good
12
reason.
is delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had 12. I don't know. Have we had 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had last year's 10 and 12,
Okay.
and then we also had this year's 12.
I must just sound like an alcoholic. I never know what the hell I drink. What have I had, Isaiah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, son.
Those were ones that Will had brought in for us. So
Mm.
shout out to Will Breeden.
Shout out.
Cheers to you, man.
Cheers.
Love
Cheers.
you. Will Breeden.
Will Breeden, the man, the myth, the legend.
He is a legend.
He's a legend.
Super.
Not just in his own mind either.
No, I mean
No.
he's just a genuinely generous guy. And-
Sexy as hell.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. I say that out loud. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
my outside voice. Sorry,
Yeah.
Will.
Yeah. Becky,
Becky?
lucky lady.
Lucky lady. Oh, yeah.
Any other brands you're seeing that are really taking off in the Tennessee market?
I mean, I would definitely say like Nashville Barrel Co. has definitely been like continuing to kind of garner that favor with the kind of insider Nashville community.
Yeah, Nashville Barrel Co. recently got a lot of beam distillate.
Yep.
And
So are they sourcing only?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
they are only sourcing.
Okay.
And they are rebarreling everything
Okay.
and then selling them as single barrels predominantly. And people will always say like, "Oh, there's just something special about Nashville Barrel Co." I'm pretty sure it's that all their barrels are toasted,
Yeah.
but they won't tell you that.
Yeah.
But every single thing that comes out of there just tastes toasted.
Yeah.
I had what has been labeled Nash Tucky, which is those beam barrels that went to Nashville Barrel Co.
yeah.
And it was literally just like a toasted Booker's.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's kind of one of the things that Bourbon 30 does is, they get their barrels of MGP and Green River, and they're doing some Bardstown stuff, whatever. But what they're doing is they toast staves, and they put the staves down in the barrels to change them up a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing when you're thieving them out of there. You're trying to get around the staves to get down to the juice. And I think that's why their barrels are so unique.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And I think too, like I definitely get the impression that like the whole place is kind of like, if you're somebody who goes to bottle shares and like has friends in the community, like you walk in and the people running the place are the same people. Like,
Yeah.
they're definitely bourbon nerds. And so I think they really know how to like find those flavors that the bourbon nerds want and kind of seek those out. And
so how big is Nashville, or what's it called?
Yeah,
Nashville Barrel Co.
Barrel Co. Okay.
They're pretty small.
yeah. Their warehouse isn't super large. I mean, it's in the city, like in Nashville proper, and in kind of an industrial district, and like, they have a decent sized warehouse, but it's not like a major, like massive operation.
Mm-hmm.
The nice thing about their model is they can basically flip a barrel in probably 2 months.
Yeah.
Like it can basically come in there, hang out for a minute. I can't imagine how much wood waste there is on the other end.
Yeah.
Okay, another question. Did you see that Belle Meade was bought out?
No, I didn't
Okay.
actually.
I gotta figure it out.
Okay.
Can you talk about Belle Meade and then like the Greenbrier's current perception? Because they switched to their own product.
Right. Yeah. Belmean has kind of, for a long time, has garnered a really kind of high caliber perception. Mostly for a lot of the work that they did, several years back, kind of being on the front end of people sourcing like really well-aged MGP. And so over time, they've been moving from that towards their own distillate to where now they're putting out their own distillate. And kind of with that whole process, they're starting to somewhat phase out, or at least put on the back burner, the Belle Meade brand, and start kind of labeling it under the Nelson's Greenbrier, which is, a heritage brand for Tennessee.
Yeah.
And it's there are some that are diehards for it, but I think also, they've. It seemed like they kind of outpriced themselves at the very beginning of that kind of transition because when they changed the branding, it seemed like the kind of flavor palette that you were getting also significantly changed.
Yeah,
because
they went from higher aged MGP to probably 5-6 year Tennessee.
Yep.
That they made.
Right.
So Nelson's Greenbrier was bought out by Constellation Brands, which they're the company that bought High West.
Okay.
And they're also the company that have, and I will say this wholeheartedly, they're the company that have tanked all of the High West limited releases.
Oh, okay.
Like
Rendezvous Rye.
Rendezvous Rye.
Because even
Midwinters, after Act 9, it's just been going downhill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that was the way, Scott DeShong, I don't know if you've met him or not, but shout out to Scott. He loved the Rendezvous Rye, and he bought a bottle, brought it in here, and we cracked it, and he's like, oh, man, it's not the same.
Yeah.
And it's like Rendezvous should be something they can completely keep redoing over and over and over because they're not doing anything special with it. It's the same release. It should be the same release every year, but it's not now.
But it has been since Constellation Brands buying High West that all of their prices have shot up. They're nearly outpricing themselves on everything.
Oh, really? Anything special?
Yeah. I mean, the High West Campfire that I got, which I actually still really enjoy.
It was good.
Like $80.
Yeah.
It's just.
I just hope they don't screw around with the double rye because the double rye makes a great cocktail.
Yeah.
No, I mean they already would have by now. I think like the double rye, like their Prairie Bourbon, those are meant to be well bottles. Those are meant to be in that price range so that they can have more bar presence. Their limited releases is just where they're nickel and diming everybody.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of been a similar thing with the Nelson's Greenbrier thing.
Yeah, definitely feels like it. Like they still have, kind of like with High West, they still have your approachable bottles that are still priced pretty fairly. But I mean, if you want one of those special releases, you're still paying the same price, if not more than you were a couple years back for, high age MGP, only, not so high age and, different flavor profile, which might be your thing, but also might not.
Yeah. And for you guys that don't know, Belle Meade, which was the previous Nelson's Greenbrier brand, when they were using MGP, they were the ones. I can't say that they did it first. I don't know that for sure, but they definitely paved the way for a million honey finishes.
Yeah.
Belle Meade honey.
As far as I know, they were the first.
I would think so, but do not quote me on that. It's always hard to prove who was the first and all the bourbon stuff. But those bottles garnered thousands of dollars on secondary market because at that point it was like 12-year MGP finished in a honey barrel that was True Bee honey from Franklin, Tennessee.
Yep.
And it was just like really well done, I guess. I've never had one.
Yeah. And even some of the successive releases, like even those were still hitting like 6-7 years, which you get a good barrel of MGP at 6-7 years and you're still getting that really, really good age flavor on it.
Do you know what the last price that they wanted for that that honey was?
I think
it was around 200.
Yeah, I want to say the last release of the honey finished under the Nelson's name. I want to say it was in the ballpark of like $200 to $250 from what I remember. So
it's a
next
time,
boy.
Dr. J, you want to complain about Starlight? marking up their finishes to $75.99,
I was getting ready to ask you about that too.
or $74.99.
Another $5.
Yeah. So we were talking about this together this week. Starlight through Coming Whiskey, the TTB patrolling page,
Right.
is releasing a bourbon finished in Mizunara barrels. Okay.
Which they've done that before, haven't they?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, I thought they did. Okay.
Which surprises me because I just feel like that's something that they would have done.
Yeah.
Barrel has already done it. That's
Right.
Vantage.
Yeah.
Well, that's a portion of Vantage. But
No citrus at all in that.
no, it's all vanilla bean ice cream. What did he say?
We're just making fun of somebody right now.
There's another show that they reviewed Barrel Vantage, and it was
only
like they
one.
purposely looked up notes on the whiskey and just went the complete opposite way.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no citrus in Vantage. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
All
It is
orange.
like all orange. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? So on that Mizunara oak finished from Starlight, Andrew commented on that post and said it's gonna be a blend of 7-year product. So
Be something.
here's the running theory is that it's going to be a repeal day release for them, which would add up as far as timeline goes. You got another couple months before they're bottling repeal day stuff. And Scott Johnston said it'll probably be around $200, which I'd have to agree with him. Like, that's the way they're going.
where their pricing points are, that would make sense. Yeah.
I understand Mizunara, like they're like, oh yeah, the tree has to be 200 years old. You know what? A 200-year-old tree should be able to make more than one barrel, like a lot more than one barrel.
Yeah.
Like you could probably get, I don't know, how big is a Mizunara tree?
I have no idea.
But I'll
No
bet
clue.
you could at least get 15 barrels out of a tree. Probably
It'd be interesting
more.
to find out how many barrels you could get out of a regular
Regular
tree,
tree,
regular
yeah.
oak tree.
Oh.
Mizunara oak tree.
That would be fun to get somebody on from a cooperage to talk barrels sometime.
Yeah.
You know who could do it for us?
Gary.
Gary Highgardner.
Yep.
Highgardner, whatever his last name is.
Well, and I bet you anything, Alan Bishop probably has a little bit of knowledge on that too. I know he
Oh,
on
I'm
his
sure of
on his
that.
distiller talk show, he has a couple of buddies on there that are part of cooperages, and they talk about it all the time.
Oh, we should poach one of his buddies.
We could.
Yeah. It is promising for me to see a 7-year finished release coming out of Starlight.
Yeah. Kind of about time.
Yeah.
But I also know that Barrel can do probably a 7-year and a Vantage in Mizunara Oak and price it at around 100
Yeah.
and blend better.
Yeah. Well, would they do it? Because I mean, the regular release stuff's $100 now for MSRP.
Yeah.
So would they do a 7-year at $100, or would they?
It would surprise me if any of those Barrel products are like under 6 year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It like they source a lot from Cascade Hollow. I'm not sure anyone pulls anything out of that distillery that's under 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good question too. And I don't know. You guys probably do know the answer. When they're doing a blend like that, do they ever even release the age statements on them? Will they? I know, like Penelope on the Architect, they break down percentages and age of each one of those different ones going in there. But does Barrel do that, or any others do that?
I haven't seen that.
Okay.
I do know that every bottle in that line has a batch number on it.
Yeah. I think some of their like regular release batches, I think a lot of times they'll at least have some age statements on some of those.
Okay.
Do you?
Especially the gray label ones. I think the gray
Yeah,
label
the
ones
gray
they definitely
label
do.
ones do.
Yeah.
Which honestly, that old gray label seagrass is fantastic.
It is
Yeah.
good.
It is really good. Yeah. Now I'm wondering about that Vantage bottle, seeing if it has an age statement on it. Rob, do you want to grab it?
Yeah, I'll grab it.
Yeah.
Because we need
So
more whiskey.
we're going to read up. Are we drinking it?
Yes.
Yeah. You're tripping over there.
I know. I'm trying not to.
That dude. Yeah. So I would guess if it said something, it'd say it on the back. But I think it's all Indiana and Tennessee in there, isn't it? It'll say
Still
distilled.
in Indiana, Tennessee, Kentucky.
Okay. Yeah.
we
So
go.
But it does not say age anywhere on it.
okay.
A blend of straight bourbon whiskeys finished in Mizunara French and toasted American oak.
Yeah. Which
And now it's in my glass.
Starlight just did a toasted series, and those were around $80 a bottle.
You want some?
Sure.
Yeah,
Here,
get
you
some.
take it. You guys pour some.
I'm good. I'm not gonna keep drinking. I still have
Just,
some meetings to do today.
Just a tiny little bit.
No, you drink however much you want to, bub. Nobody cares.
Oh,
Yes.
I care.
Oh,
I'm trying to make sure I can walk out of here.
it hitting you that hard?
No, I'm just saying it's early.
Oh, okay. You ate Taco Bell on the way here. You'd be fine.
Ugh.
A little
Taco
breakfast
Bell
burrito.
breakfast, man.
I haven't had their breakfast.
It's not bad.
Not
it?
terrible.
How late do they serve it?
Like 10:30, I think.
That's the thing that pisses me off about McDonald's. Their sausage and egg McMuffin is the best breakfast sandwich on the market.
Yeah.
And they only serve it till 10:30, and I don't come into work till noon. I was like, I want to get those every day. I would, man.
If they sold the McGriddles in a frozen pack at Costco, I would totally be buying those and popping them in the microwave. So tell me there's no citrus on that.
I will not. I most certainly will not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's got
Seriously,
like
it
a
just
bottle.
finishes with almost like I almost think of it as like mandarin orange or something
Yeah,
like that.
it's almost like creamsicle-y to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
Actually, it goes really great with a cigar.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I always worry about how much just like straight mild. I think this cigar is a tick above a mild. But
Yeah.
how much
It's
the
leaning into the medium.
Connecticut's in that sort of strength range will deal with a whiskey. I think a lot of like proofier options or even port finish stuff would probably cover up a lot in this cigar.
Yeah.
But something as bright and fruity as the Vantage.
Well, and I
Works.
tell people a lot of times if they're wanting a milder cigar, I'll usually lean them to a finished bourbon
Yeah.
or a finished rye because, the port finishes or the sherry finishes or, really any of the Vantage finishes, all of it just really plays nicely with that fruit to kind of balance out the mildness of the cigar.
Yeah.
Now, not to say you can't drink Maverick, which is all the port,
It's so much
with a
more.
dark cigar because it works great with that
Yeah,
too.
it does. Yeah, it definitely does.
But something like this probably would hold up to a darker cigar, but it probably wouldn't be as bright and pretty as it is right now.
Yeah.
Totally.
And I think the having a cigar that's not super heavy also allows some of that spiciness to come through.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it also this combination here really allows you to taste both well.
Yeah.
Your one's not overpowering the other; they're just balancing each other out really nicely.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
So, okay,
Okay.
how many more days of work do you have before you're off the wedding?
Tomorrow.
Okay,
And I'm
so
off
that's
Thursday.
Wednesday, and Thursday you're off.
And my weekends are always Friday, Saturday anyway. But I also took Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday off
Well, you
this
should.
week.
You should.
So
You're not going to be walking straight for a couple days, buddy.
And that's not
just-
from the alcohol.
I'm just meaning because you're going to be on your feet a lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. What are you talking
Making
about?
fat jokes.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I can do
It's
that
okay.
at this table.
Yeah. Yes, you can. No, yeah. So I'll be I'll be off a couple days afterward. I'm trying to talk Victoria into either going down to Starlight with me or hitting up Oliver either that Monday or Tuesday and just going and hanging out.
Yeah. She's a wine girl, isn't she?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Which like the nice thing about Starlight is their farm market is open, and I'm pretty sure the You Pick Apples is open too.
Should be.
It's season.
Yeah.
So all of Starlight's like apple, they have an apple muffin loaf. Oh my gosh,
So good.
It's so good, and their apple cider is crazy good too.
There's nothing coming out of that farm store that's not good at Starlight.
Yeah,
Yeah. And they if there's one season they do right, it is the fall.
It is the fall. Now that being said, avoid it in October.
Absolutely.
When pumpkin season comes around, if you're able to avoid it, just do it.
Unless you have kids, then take them and let them have a blast.
Oh yeah,
It is
Yeah.
it is definitely a family, big party family time.
It's Bourbon
Thousands
Disneyland.
of people out there, and the kids can go out there and get them a pumpkin and play, and parents can have a drink and sit and eat. And
Totally.
It's a
But
great
that's
time.
the really smart thing about their model is that it is both a functioning fruit farm, like they grow corn and stuff too, but it's also a distillery and also a winery. So
Yeah.
you can quite literally spend an entire day there.
Yep.
And while you're drinking, your kids can play on the playground or go feed the most giant goldfish you ever seen.
So huge.
yes, yep.
Ridiculously large. They can mess with some ducks
Yeah,
that have had their
yeah.
wings clipped so they don't go anywhere and breed anymore. Yeah. It really is a we give Starlight a lot of crap on this show, but I will say it again and again. It's because we love them.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Well, I mean, typically you're more critical on the ones that you care about than the ones you don't give a crap about.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and there was a while where I would buy every single release, every single Starlight release.
Yeah.
And
when they do 2 or 3 a week, it makes it difficult.
Yep.
well, they were
Very
doing
difficult.
monthly releases, and they'd release 1 or 2, and I would just go down there for a couple hours and come back, and that was a blast. And there was a couple times where I met Isaiah down there,
Yep.
and we'd just hang out down there, come up back to my house, and probably make some cocktails.
Allegedly.
Speaking of cocktails,
Yes.
you should share your recipe
Yeah.
for your apple cider cocktail.
Yeah.
And
There you go.
Talk about it on the show.
So, a little bit of background on Isaiah and I's whiskey journey. I had started drinking whiskey and bourbon prior to the pandemic. But during the pandemic, one of the things that kind of kept Isaiah and I together and strengthened our friendship was having bourbon as kind of a new hobby for the both of us to share and kind of get into simultaneously.
Well, and it had become a legitimate hobby rather than just like, hey, let's hang out in our dorm room and drink together.
Yeah. So yeah, there was a period of time because I really kind of one of my pandemic hobbies was mixology. So because I couldn't go out to get a good drink, so I learned to make one at home.
I have a picture of you in my phone of you. I think you have a cowboy hat on in the shower, drinking a Gold Rush. Yes, like out of a coupe glass.
My problem with this is Isaiah's taking pictures of you in the shower.
No, he's not. He sent.
No,
it to
I don't
me.
even wanna hear
He
it.
straight up sent that to me.
But yet it's still in his phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
That's great. Shower beers, shower cocktails, whatever it takes.
Sometimes
Shower
you got to do
cocktails
it.
do
You just
hit
got to treat
different.
yourself. You got to get fancy with it. But yeah, there was a period of time where we didn't get the chance to see each other, and so during that time, I started trying to craft a drink that I could share with Isaiah when I came back up the next time. which was going to be in the fall. And I've always been a big fan of apple cider and bourbon. That's kind of always one of my fall go-to drinks. Like sometimes I'll just take some apple cider, have like a glass, and then, just put some bourbon in it and just have that in the fridge. So I wanted to take that idea and kind of elevate it to kind of a cocktail level of balance. So the drink that I ended up coming up with, when I came to visit Isaiah to share this drink with him, it was peak fall season. I think it had to have been like early October or something like that. Really,
all the orchards were just pumping out all of the apple goodness.
Yep. Yep. And
Prime Indiana.
Yeah. So I ended up naming the drink Indiana Autumn because a lot of the ingredients to me kind of represented what is in season around that time, and just that warm, comforting feeling of, driving through the cornfields that are, starting to get that dusty color and surrounded by all the red trees and all that. But the drink itself is 2 ounces of apple cider, 2 ounces of bourbon of your choice. I created the drink to be mixed with Weller Special Reserve, but I've had other things like Old Grandad Bottle and Bond works well. Tried a few different things.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I add an ounce of honey syrup, which personally for me, I find for this drink, clover honey works the best.
You want a pretty like plain and general honey, not something like a buckwheat or a wildflower.
Right. Yeah, so honey syrup, lemon, and then I'll add a couple dashes of Fee Brothers barrel aged bitters, which kind of bring a lot of those baking spice notes that you'd want in a drink like that.
And I will tell you, there have been nights, shaken, because it has juice in it. And when you shake something with juice, it adds a lot of aeration, makes it a lot silkier of a texture, all that stuff, cocktail science, this and that, whatever. But when you can sit there and make a double and slam it so quickly. And there have been nights when Isaiah and I were hopping on FaceTime calls, and I'd like sit there, slam a double, and be like, "Dog, I gotta go to bed." But it is a fantastic drink. But yeah, it was also great with finished whiskeys in there. I at one point used the Starlight maple syrup finished. And that was great.
But that was good. Yeah.
The honey finishes go well in there.
Yep.
And I would be intrigued to try it with a cigar batch, though I don't. I'm not sure.
Don't ruin the.
Yeah.
Don't ruin
the
your
apple cider. No.
Cider.
I barely know her.
Almost killed her.
Yeah. You want to get into these stem only cigars?
We can. Do you guys want to try one?
I am intrigued at this point.
All right.
And I have enough of my cigar left over that if I absolutely hate that, I can relight mine.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt we're going to absolutely hate these.
So, real quick, once again, Rob, tell the people what these are.
Yeah, so the brand, it's called El Talo by Jose Dominguez.
And that's again, a United brand, isn't it?
Yeah. It was created specifically to prove that stems are in your cigars. They burn. They do well. It was not created to be something that people who seek out and love them. So if you look at these,
these are ugly. They're so ugly.
Oh, they are. They look like a cheroot, just 10 times the size. Jesus. Completely closed on the end. Actually, that would be a good idea is to cut. I'm gonna get a straight cut on this one just to see what it does.
I did a V and you gotta
get in
work
there
at it. Yeah, that's
yeah. So it's just all stems.
Oh my Lord.
Probably we're not gonna have any draw on it at all because it's got a closed foot on it. Actually, it's a wide open draw. That's wild.
Mine's not quite wide open.
Mine's wide open.
It's not bad. It does the.
I mean, it's got a good cold draw.
I'm sure mine will be once that foot, but there's so much leaf on the foot of this. So once again, I am using the Calibri Soft Flame, which I forget what this is called, the Julius.
Julius.
Okay.
Oh. Not good.
Not good.
Yeah. So far, not good. So basically, Dave Payne got this for me. He brought it in because he's like, what do you get the guy that owns a shop that can get anything he wants to smoke? We'll get him something he's probably never smoked
Get him
before.
bad cigars.
So he got me this just to show, just the experiment of
Oh,
it.
get spicy brown paper bag.
Oh, you're right, Dave. Man, this is not good. Oh,
Yeah, paper bag oddly describes it.
Yeah.
yeah, but most of the time, paper bag reminds me. It's just like it just doesn't have much going on.
This has
Oh, this is just
And it's
off-putting.
woody. It's
It is. It is woody.
Yeah.
there's an astringent note in there too.
Yeah.
Um,
So
but they do in fact burn.
they do burn, and that's the thing. Is like some people claim stupid things with stems. I remember Rocky was screwing with this girl, which I won't mention her name.
But blaster. She'd be
Nah.
fine.
Nah,
She'll probably get some more OnlyFans followers.
that's true. Melanie Cisco, if anyone's ever heard that name. We were on a it was a HERF during COVID. And she
real quick, explain what a
HERF
HERF is.
So a HERF is basically you just get a bunch of people together smoking, and during that time it was on like a Zoom call. So everyone got together and you smoking from all over the country. Well, she jumped on and she's like, well, yeah, every cigar has a stem from foot to the head on every cigar. And we're like, no, that's not true. Oh, she's like, oh yeah, it's true because Rocky told me. And we're like, I think Rocky's fucking with you just a little bit. And she's like, no. And then Dan Thompson was on the call, and he's actually the president of McAuliffe.
Yeah.
He's like, I can tell you right now, we don't do that. She's like, oh no, everyone does. I'm like, whatever. That's not the case. But there are stems because stems are a part of the leaf. You're going to have them in every cigar is going to have a stem in it. It is what it is. It's not that they're put in there specifically for burning. They're just in there because they're part of a leaf.
So these things, I wouldn't even call like there's. I switched back to this Fumado.
Oh,
I hated
too.
that.
Yeah.
But it's almost like the cigar in the ashtray is smoldering. Like
God.
it is super woody.
Yeah. It's like incense.
Yeah.
It's literally like smoking the incense sticks.
A little bit.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good. Thanks, Dave, for screwing up my palate for the day, buddy.
You'll be fine. Just go get a.
It is
knuckle
interesting,
sandwich
though,
with
because
your
they did burn perfectly fine.
Yeah,
They were burning fine, but they
if
did
they
not taste
tasted good, you could. Well, if you don't care how your cigar tastes, you would smoke that entire thing. There is. I would never want to smoke that again,
No.
ever.
No. So, if anybody, first two people that come up to me and ask for them, they're yours.
Yeah, I mean seriously.
I mean,
It is
they're
an interesting
but
thing
man,
to try. Make sure your cutter's sharp because
You'll need
you could feel the resistance
Yeah.
on the cut.
Yeah.
Like those things. I mean, you're chopping through stems.
Yeah. Which, that's the thing too, is like the stem is where all the nutrients come in before it gets out to the leaf. So your stems are going to have a lot of nutrients in them.
Yeah.
Doesn't always equate to flavor.
Oh, it definitely doesn't. I'm sure there is a crazy amount of nicotine in those.
There probably is. Those are probably super strong.
Yeah.
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 We're not going to find out.
You sure?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
You can take them home and, put them in your pipe and smoke them.
Put that in your iPad.
That's your pipe and smoke it.
Have you seen that SNL skit?
Yeah.
It's just like old people's perception of what's going on and not really knowing, but they're just like, put that in your iPad and smoke it.
Like it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those suck.
Those
Those
yeah.
legitimately suck. Maybe if Dr. J took them home and did a Fireball Bovida with them, it could be better.
It would be Fireball and ass. It would not be good.
So Fireball.
That's
So
the,
Fireball,
I think that's the name of your rap album,
Fireball and ass.
or maybe your autobiography.
Yeah.
The name of the band is the Flaming Dingleberries.
Oh my gosh.
We should talk a little bit about your music from the college days sometime, Isaiah. Throw it on the show. Were you a part of that?
He did it.
Oh, you're.
It's
oh.
mostly
No
him.
Oh, is
comment.
it mostly him? Okay. All right. All right.
I showed it in here one night, and they were cracking up. But we're not going to talk about that.
Why not?
Because
Yeah. Think about the most non-pastory things you could be doing at a seminary school.
well,
Pretty much covers it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was an outlet.
It was an outlet.
It was a creative outlet, and I did most of the production. Like Isaiah and I did most of the production.
Yeah,
He did a lot of the rapping.
that I did.
Nice, nice.
You got any bars for the shows?
I do not.
So you just have to have
Bars,
some prepared
cigars.
for Thursday.
Yeah. I call her AC. I'm gonna take her out to dinner, then a movie,
Yep.
cinema.
Cinema.
Oh God.
It's an inside joke, and it'll stay that way.
It will.
It'll stay that way. We'd like to keep it buried.
So basically, what we need to do is get enough alcohol in this boy for Thursday, so he comes on the show and talks about it, or
So-
actually sings it. That'd be fine too. I'm sure you still could.
Oh, he could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could.
Yeah.
There was a there was a night where we were making a track, and it was like post the original crew days, and Isaiah went out and bought a bottle of E&J brandy.
XO.
Oh.
XO.
A whole $14.
Yeah.
Which is what gave Brandy a bad name for so long.
Yeah.
Oh.
The bottle was smashed,
Yep.
and
Did
rap
not survive.
tracks were made,
That they were.
and it's a mess.
Yeah.
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 But sometimes you got to do it.
So I was thinking back on the RA that we lived with. Can you tell the people, because I think this is a funny story,
The people.
the people
People. Yeah.
about the meat in the fridge.
Mm.
Yeah. Just like sell this boy out
So
and how petty it was.
so we were in school at a place with a dry campus, so no alcohol in the dorms, but it's sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get by. So we had our methods, and I had found a particularly effective one for myself when I was out of mini fridge space. Was I would usually have a box of LaCroix in the fridge, and so I started getting into the habit of having two. I would have one that I drank out of, and then I'd have another one that was closed. And then after a while, I just left the one that appeared closed empty and let it be open in the backside. And I would just put cans of beer in there. So at one point, I had bought some draft mead from a local store, and had it in my LaCroix box. And I went out one evening and was hanging out with some friends, and we got a text in our group chat, and our roommate, who was an RA, said, he was basically like, I found the meat in the fridge. Whoever's it is, you don't have to fess up. Just make sure it's gone in the morning. And I said, you know what? I'll take an excuse to drink some more.
Yeah.
I'll drink some more meat. I'll finish my evening with that. No problem. So that's what I did.
But I can't imagine why he would have found it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You'd have to be looking.
Well,
What was he doing, trying to steal your LaCroix from
that's
the
all I
back
can
side of
guess.
it?
Yeah.
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 So you
Thought I wouldn't
wouldn't
notice.
notice
it?
Reach back in there, and what do you know?
Oh, you should tell them about how you stored your entire bar.
Yeah. So in this same dorm,
It was so stupid that he was never caught.
we had these wardrobes that where you'd hang your clothes up was completely open. There were no doors.
Yeah.
So I had all these exposed clothes hanging up, and you know I'm a larger boy, and so my clothes take up a bit of space, and so it's pretty packed in there.
Yeah.
So you could just slip something right behind, right there in the corner. Nobody would notice. And mind you, this dorm was when I turned 21, was
Yeah.
when we moved in.
Yeah.
So over the course of,
But I'm talking like Costco sized bottles of vodka, gin, and tequila.
Yeah,
Like 4 different bourbons and a cachaza.
yeah, I made it my goal to have a fully stocked bar.
Yeah, and he did.
I did. So I
You
was
affectionately call it the wino, the bitch, and the wardrobe.
I should have.
That's pretty good.
That is.
That's pretty good. Man, there was so many crazy college times. When we were living together one summer, we just had a mini fridge out in the common area. And it was just stocked full of beer.
Yep.
It just was. There was a lot of Yingling Pilsner in there that summer.
Yep.
I think that was when it had first come out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you have a breaking news thing on there? We need a breaking news thing. That'll work. That'll
What
work.
you got?
I just got a note from Johnson Brothers delivering our stuff on Friday. Sorry, buddy.
Sad.
That's the brandy. So we won't have
She
it
is
till
a
Friday.
fine girl, but not that fine of a girl.
The good wife she will be.
She will be.
Yes.
So
So yeah, Friday. So when this is posted, we will have brandy,
yeah.
cast strength brandy, all the hazmat you would want.
imagine that's what'll happen with the Elijah Craig. That it'll probably be next week for them to. Because
It probably will be too, because I think
I know
Southern
with-
Glacier comes on Wednesday or Thursday.
I know with RNDC that they'll hold stuff for like 2 or 3 weeks sometimes.
I just don't know how long Southern Glacier does it. This is Southern Glacier
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
so
But
We'll
they're
see. We'll
they're
see.
a company of similar magnitude.
they are. Well, and RNDC lost so much, so they shouldn't be behind on anything at this point.
Yeah, better not.
No.
I ran into a Johnson Brothers rep at a Big Red store and was talking with him, and he was peddling. What was he peddling? Oh, Calumet Farm stuff, a couple tequilas, and some soju, and also some of the French lick stuff. And one of the customers that came up behind me, because I was tasting through his soju, because, might as well. It's there.
Tell people what soju is.
It is, I don't know from what part of Asia it is.
Korea.
Korea. So it's a Korean.
Very popular in South Korea.
Is it fruit based or is it rice? Do you know?
Ooh, I should know. I believe it is rice based.
That's what I thought too. It's
I
like
would think so.
it's like a fruity cousin to sake,
Yeah.
but it honestly really good. Super refreshing, nice. Definitely try it. Good summer sipper.
Yep.
Drink it cold, it's good.
Yeah.
Drink it lukewarm, just fine. Like whatever.
Not like sake where you can drink it hot.
I do like hot sake.
I do too.
Yeah. I don't know that hot soju would be very good.
I don't think so because
Okay.
a lot of it's super fruity.
Yeah.
So,
Gotcha.
A lot of times people will take shots of it too. It's
Okay.
not super high proof. It's usually around like the teens, but a lot of
Okay.
people will shoot it.
yeah.
Okay.
But the Johnson Brothers rep could not tell this guy why the Matty Gladden was bottled in bond. He could not for the life of him
Oh.
explain what bottled in bond is.
I know
And
the
it was just embarrassing to watch. And I didn't do anything about it because I didn't want to undermine him. But I was just like, bro, y'all just got the
Sazerac.
You guys
line,
just got the Sazerac catalog.
Yeah.
And you're
which is part of the reason why they have a lot of new rests, because they had to hire like 200 people
I don't
on
care.
the spot.
I don't care.
That should still be pretty
you
basic.
should be able to tell somebody the difference between a bourbon, a rye, what makes a wheat whiskey, like all of these things.
Yeah.
And bottled and bond. This is basic terminology.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
couldn't do it. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Well, and you feel bad for guys like Alan that are having their stuff represented now by people that genuinely probably shouldn't be representing
Yeah.
bourbons. You know, I mean, I don't know that much about soju or tequila, but I mean, Repo and Yeho, all that stuff, you can kind of get your way around that by just talking about, oh, this is more aged than that, like, you know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But a bourbon, come on, man,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah. That is kind of odd that they wouldn't know the basics of like bottle and bond and stuff. So,
Oh
well. Time for some training.
Seriously, if you're gonna peddle the Sazerac catalog, which apart from Heaven Hill, is probably one of the biggest whiskey nerddom brands.
Yeah.
You know,
All the BTAC, everything
you
in there.
should
Yeah.
be able to keep up.
Yeah.
But here we are.
But here we are.
Here we are.
So what do you think about the cigar now you're back into it?
It is so much better than that stem only cigar.
Yeah.
And actually it's ramping up in flavor a little bit. It's more like a white toast to me on the palate. A little bit of like char spice on the palate, and then the retrohale just has a hint of black pepper for me.
Yeah. Mostly baking spices on the retro for me.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
But I'm not quite as far down as you are. I don't believe. But
Yeah.
well, anything else?
I don't think so. We can probably wrap this thing
Yeah, we'll
up.
wrap this thing up. So
We'll get there in a minute.
what was that button you just pushed?
That's the outro music, but I
Oh.
got to give it a minute so they don't hear the coming to you from Final Third Cigar. And
Oh, I got you. You have to stop at a certain point.
Nah. You hear it?
I hear it.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
So that must mean it's time to go.
It's time to go. Well, again, guys, thanks for listening in. Thank you for coming on with us. We will see you next week, and you can follow me on Instagram at Final Third Cigar.
You can find me on Instagram at The Whiskey Pastor. Where can they find you, Isaiah?
Also on Instagram at Zay Swag.
Zay
Swag.
There we go.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you next week.
Cheers.
Schnitzel, bitches.